can first off, can everyone hear me uh, through this live stream?
Yes.
Okay, I see some comments saying yes. Okay, uh, let's do it. I'll start. This year. I'm very excited to talk to and introduce these three teams that have participated in Gemini. Before that, I just want to first let you know that there will be an audio lag between when I speak and when the presentation is displayed on the live stream. So please keep that in mind with any silence that you may hear for an extended period of time. And I would also like to say if we experience any technical difficulties, we will connect and finish the presentation. Uh, if that happens and you have any concerns, to those in the audience that have my email, please email me. And for the D3 members, just keep an eye on the chat and I'll let you know how things are progressing for us to reconnect. Without further ado, let's begin this demo night presentation. First, I'd like to talk a little bit of what is demo night and why we do it. So demo night is a night that we have all our teams participate in that have been working extremely hard on a project. We like to invite professors, faculty, people from the university, entrepreneurs in the community, businessmen and women to come and witness the hard work that our members have put on. So as you'll see in demo night, you'll see a series of pre-recorded videos explaining each team's product or service with their business model that they have made themselves. After each video, you see a Q&A visual. It is at this time that you may ask a question in the chat that occurred to you as you watch the presentation. After the presentation is complete and during this Q&A, a representative from the team will answer that question in real time over audio, and that answer will be played in the live stream. And this is to simulate how a pitch could go in front of an investor or talking to an ordinary person to try to persuade them about their idea. At Gemini and at D3, we see this as an opportunity for our members to learn what to expect as they continue with their entrepreneurial journey. And I would like to also add, remember that there is a delay between me and the representative talking. So please keep that in mind in case it seems if we are behind. All right, now let's begin. First off, I want to say a series of thank yous. Thank you to everyone that's here tonight. I want to take this time to give thanks to our advisors, Dr. Lori Kendall, Mr. Neil Collins, and also Mr. Marshall McGee, who have helped us throughout this semester, and all of whom who have spent a lot of time with the club in our meetings and also outside of the club. We appreciate the work that they have done. D3 wouldn't be able to move as well as it does without you, and they provide great insight to our members. So I want to say thank you to those that have helped, to those three specific individuals. Thank you. Next, I'd like to say thank you to my team of officers, Jason, Subasa, Andy, and Cameron, for their help in operating this club from start to finish. In pandemic, it was a tricky situation to do, but with their assistance, perseverance, and commitment, we were able to get to this point and give our members a worthwhile semester. Thank you to all those who are here tonight, from family, friends, to D3 alum, businessmen and women, and community members. We greatly appreciate your participation. It helps us grow, but more importantly, it helps our members grow, learn, and serves as a spark of inspiration for their future. And one of the more important thank you goes out to our members. Without you, there literally is no club. So all of you who have put in the time outside of the club, setting up meetings with people to advise you and working together about something you're passionate about. Thank you for putting in that effort. People like you is what makes D3 so special. And having worked with other rosters at D3, I can say that with this semester being a small group, there was no difference in the quality of work that they produce. The ideas, ingenuity, and the effort was tremendous. And everyone here that is watching and anywhere watching this in the future, I hope will see that effort you put in. Without further ado, let's continue on with the presentation. Our presenters for demo night are Zyko, Inline, Alpha Stack. I hope you enjoyed their presentations. Let's continue on.
Good evening, everyone. Today we will be presenting you with our idea, Zyko. Before we begin, let me introduce to you all our team. My name is Fiona, and I'm studying International Business and Design Thinking.
Hello guys, my name is Samani Das, and I'm studying Accounting and International Business.
So due to our small team, we work in a collaborative way, kind of like in a partnership. So we split up the work evenly and communicate with each other to get things done. Next, here's a quick overview of what we will be covering today. We'll first start off with our relationship to the problem, then our solution. Next, we'll cover our business model and future plans. Lastly, we will open the floor up to any questions and comments.
So let's talk about the problem. Giving some background about what the problem is and why you want to tackle it goes back about 5 years ago when I was traveling around Delhi, India with my cousins. My cousins in the car suddenly told me that I shouldn't look to my right, and being rebellious that I am, I ended up looking to my right and saw this massive landfill with animals and people digging through it to get from one place to the another. There are many things in the landfill that can be remade and to fit a new purpose or just not go in the landfill at all. In the United States in the year 2017, the amount of food waste that occurred was about 81.4 billion pounds of food, which could have been used in better ways than just going to a landfill. And thus, it became our goal to change up the value chain to get rid of food waste that goes goes in and repurpose it into something that is tangible for one's benefit in life.
Our solution is to create eco-enzyme and incorporate this solution into other products. Eco-enzyme is a multi-purpose liquid mixture created from mostly organic and biodegradable waste. By this, we mean fruit peels or vegetable scraps. This solution helps reduce waste and is environmentally friendly. The flexibility of this liquid allows us to add it to certain products to make it more sustainable. After analyzing our survey, we found that more people were interested in buying sustainable products when shopping for cleaning and hygiene products. In our survey, we asked our respondents to check the types of products they think sustainability strongly matters in. In the end, we found that most of the votes went to bathing products, household cleaning products, and personal hygiene products. Hence, the industry we decided to enter into is the soap and cleaning compound manufacturing industry. This industry actually encompasses a great range of products from shampoo to soap to dishwasher to kitchen cleaning products. We originally wanted to focus more on a more specific product type, such as household cleaning items, but we feel this was the only industry that kind of encompasses the whole cleaning products. So this industry is a $36.9 billion revenue industry, and they make about $2.1 billion in profit each year. There's about 4,364 businesses in this industry in the US, and the demand in this industry is on the rise, not just from households, but also from the healthcare sector. With the pandemic and an increase in awareness of hygiene has caused an increase in demand.
So let's talk about the business model.
So looking at our target market, with our product, we plan to sell it directly to businesses selling household products so that they can incorporate our product into theirs. Yet we still want to understand who our customers will be and who will be receiving our products at the end. After looking at our survey results, we decided that our target market will consist of individuals between the ages 25 to 40 with income under $20,000. We hope to provide a sustainable product at a lower cost to help those interested in sustainability, yet were unable to buy such products due to typical high costs associated with them. Price is generally the main barrier we found for those who wanted to buy sustainable products or were interested in it, but were unable to. So here's a quick look at some of the possible customers in the future. So we have Anna, a 26-year-old single woman who strives to live a simple and sustainable life within her busy work life. Next, we have Josh. He is a 30-year-old married man who doesn't know much about being green, but is still interested in sustainability and wants to learn more. We also have Christine. She is a 37-year-old married woman who has young children that has sensitive skin, especially towards bathing products.
As for the values that we're providing in general with this model, we're giving another way for grocery stores to recoup cost for organic food waste that occurs without worrying about if the food is about to expire or not. Also, a sustainability chain that by making a material that provides the means of companies to produce more sustainable products. And we're also engaging with consumers to educate what it means to be sustainable and helping integrate the meaning of sustainability in products they use. And when we're looking at our partners, our main focus would be our suppliers of excess organic food in order for our process to work. We want to keep things local as possible to, one, promote efficiencies in the operations, but also be more sustainable when accounting for logistics costs. This means we are looking to work with local farmers or grocery stores that have excess food. As for our channels of distribution, as Fiona mentioned, since we're selling our product on a business-to-business scale, the channels of distribution would be how the business sells their usual products and what are the usual channels of distribution they use. And also understanding marketing is a very important tool for us, as when we conducted market research, many individuals that looked for a product being sustainable often looked to see if the product isn't practicing false advertising or greenwashing to make more money. Many also consider looking at different certifications in place when provided. And so we want our products to be certified by a governmental agency to provide our product fits in the standards of being sustainable, and also giving out the truth to these consumers, but also working with our buyers to provide that they have a brief overview of what our material is and how does our process work, maybe on the packaging of their products. In the near future, we would like to have a website that is able to provide more information to consumers, but currently we do not have much coding skills to integrate that as of yet. But in the near future, definitely. As for our costs and revenues, it's a fairly straightforward process. Revenues is just how we're selling our enzyme to these different cleaning and household cleaning products. and the companies associated with it. But for our costs, right now we definitely need more funding to look into things such as facilities and water cost and electricity. But as of right now, the cost would just be the cost to acquire the organic waste from grocery stores, and also just potential production costs, such as maybe transporting the waste over to our home or a garage to develop the enzyme.
As of now, our future plans consist of continuing and researching our market and its consumers and obtaining greater validation for our idea. We also want to create samples of our product to test the market, find and contact suppliers and potential partners, and then look into marketing techniques that would best fit our product. Thank you. And is there any questions or comments?
Thank you, Team Psycho. It is at this moment where we will be doing our Q&A session in the chat. So if you have a question, please type it in the chat, and I will ask the team live here on Discord for them to answer it, and you can hear the response in real time to the questions you ask. Psycho, you can unmute your mics at this moment while we wait for a question.
Hello, everyone.
Well, as there are no questions in the chat, I would like to kick it off then, because I have a question of my own. Tanya asked, I'll let her go first. Where geographically do you think the product would sell the best? That's a question for you in the chat.
Oh, cool. That's a really interesting question. For that regard, I'm gonna pass it to Fiona because I feel like she understands this more. But Fiona, what do you think?
I think we haven't gotten to the point to where we understand our target market more to make that decision. But we have been talking about where we want to start and how we want to conduct this business. So we want to start locally, so maybe more in an area that's like more tightly packed. Um, just because we want to stay focused on sustainability and having to transport our product to long distance areas wouldn't be sustainable. So we kind of want to find an area that's like more close knit and local to try out our product.
And more to that point, what we kind of understood from our customer validation was that when people are looking for sustainable products, they want to make sure that the entire chain of the product is sustainable. If it isn't, then it's not very favorable. And so, in that regard, we're trying to make everything locally based, so you don't have to deal with go like far transportation costs and whatnot.
Okay, good answer. Uh, uh, I don't see another question in the chat, so I will ask mine while we wait. Um, I know for the enzyme, you guys will probably be developing your own. Do you have any idea how the process works of getting developing it and getting FDA approval?
Um, as for the FDA approval, we have to look into that still. But in terms of the process of making it, we already know a set and standard way of doing it. Um, the one thing that we do require that we noted is we probably need water. Um, so going into the future, if we have like a certain facility, having like that water in place is going to be helpful. Um, Also accounting for different types of electricity costs if we start investing in machinery. Fiona, would you like to add more or?
Um, I think it's good. Like we know the process of making the enzyme, um, but like Samani said, we still need to do some research on how we can get the FDA approval and how we can like label it or market it as sustainable.
Yeah, and another thing, as we mentioned in the presentation, that when consumers come across a sustainable product, the first thing they try to do is they look to see if there's like a like what's the certification, what's the meaning behind the certification, and so researching like ways to say like, hey, this product is green, and hey, the FDA is approving of this is our next steps.
Thank you for that answer. Are there any more questions in the chat?
Looks like Jason has a question. Let's see.
Okay, here is a question. If you're working with a soap company, they've had their own supply chain and production. How do you balance making sure the supply chain, the product is sustainable, uh, in the company you work with? So I believe Jason's asking is basically if you work with a soap company, they have their own supply chain. How do you make sure that they are also sustainable because of something you articulate as has people are um, they're in they're interested in the fact that the whole process is sustainable. So how do you basically partner with other sustainable companies?
That's an excellent question, Jason. We That's actually one of the things that we talked about in the past, where we're saying like, hey, we're building this green product, but then what is like a service that we can provide on top of our enzyme? So we were thinking about in the future having some sort of consulting service that kind of goes along with the enzyme product that can provide assistance towards these companies to make their product line more or green. And so the first starting point was that we're just going to figure out, we'll go up to these businesses and talk about how we can integrate the enzyme into their product itself first. But then going into the future, we want to work with these companies to um, like a chain more green. Um, Sorry, I don't know if that was a really good answer to that question, um, but I hope it hit home. Do you know?
Thank you.
Do you have anything else to add, or?
No, I think that was a good answer.
No?
Thank you. Are there any more questions in the chat before we move on to the next presentation? I'll wait another 30 seconds or so. It looks like there is not. So thank you, Team Zyko, for your presentation. Let's continue on with the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Niederprum, and I am one of the members of the Inline team. Inline is a web application that will allow people to save time in line at their favorite fast food and fast casual restaurants. We are a team of 3 college students who all realized that there is a time-saving need in every market, but that the food location market had a gap to fill. The one interesting thing is that none of us actually had the idea for this sort of product. It was actually my mother. I used to live in Illinois, and now I currently live in Ohio, so my family spends a lot of time driving back and forth from Ohio to Illinois and vice versa. That drive is a good 6 to 7 hours, so along the way we stop to get food and go to the bathroom. Most people, like my dad, would like the drive to go as smooth as possible, but with no stops. However, that never happens. We typically stop 2 to 3 times to get food along the way, and we stop at fast food locations. However, it never really is fast. We find ourselves wasting 30 or more minutes in line, which draws out our travel time. My dad always complains that stopping causes us to lose time. So my mom thought that there should be a way to know how long a line is at a food location. Time is what I realized was the biggest problem and caused so many people so much stress. Nobody likes to, 1, waste time, and 2, wait in line. We knew there needed to be a way to solve this problem. So we created Inline, an app that if I had to describe to someone who has never heard of Inline, I would say it is the Waze for food lines.
Before coming up with a solution to this problem, we wanted to check what other people, specifically students, think about this issue. So in order to gather this information, our team made a survey where we asked several questions about their experience of waiting at a restaurant and whether they'd like to use an app to save time. After questioning 40 students, we found that 70% prefer ordering at a restaurant, 78% wait in line on average longer than 5 minutes, 58% care a lot about standing in line and prefer not to waste much time, 68% haven't used nor heard about other competitors' products, and 75% would use an app to help them save time at food locations. By looking at this data, we've realized that there is a shared need that we need to address, and we are ready to come up with a solution. So after discussing several ideas, we decided to come up with the Inline app, a crowdsourced web app that will be able to show you real-time line estimates to possibly every fast food or casual restaurant near you. With a minimalistic approach in mind, we tailored this app to look appealing and simple to use to provide the best user experience. To tell you more about this app, Nilay, our web app programmer, will give us a short tour of the app.
Our inline app, we decided to go to the route of creating a web application instead of Android or iOS. Now this web application has easy to use interface. You can have a favorite, you can save your locations, you can create your profile, and you can search nearby locations or have manually type into search boxes. Now we also decided to include ability to update the info line app in our alpha version of the app. Now let me show you a demo of the app. So if you were to reload, you will see this screen at first top, and you can just directly type into the search bar, let's say Baker Systems, and I can say Baker Systems, show me locations near Baker Systems. And hopefully it will load in a minute. Now here are the several different locations from our database. You can click any of them and it will show you a pop-up menu, and it will show you whether it's open or not, the name of it, the address of the locations, and how much estimate time it is. For prototype purposes, I inputted 10 minutes here, so it will show up in our database that it's 10 minutes. And suppose the user haven't included the minutes yet, it will show you unavailable. You can also go here and update the app. Suppose you wanted to update a drive-through. Suppose there are 5 cars in front of you. You can click on 5 and you can say 10 minutes and then save it, and then it will update the app. It will give you 25 points and it will show up here in the drive-through minutes. Now suppose you go to nearby, you wanted to see nearby locations, you can have this menu pop up. Now this includes all the available locations nearby. It includes this green or red dot depending on whether it's open or not. It will show you how much time it takes for each location, the maximum time it can take. And suppose we don't have the data, we'll just don't show you for visibility purposes. And now you can click on any of the locations you like. Suppose I want to go to Buffalo Wings if I want to eat wings, and I click on it and it will show the same pop-up. You can do the same updates here and there, and you can also save your location. Suppose this is your favorite location, you can just click save, and it will show you up in the favorites menu. You can also delete it if you choose to, and if you want to have a profile, you can log in or sign up your own account. Now let me show you how the reward badges system works in brief. The way this works is that we have 5 type of badges we give out, and it depends on the update, and each update worth 25 points each time user updates the estimated waiting time for any of the locations. And we have 5 kind of badges: line baby, line grown up, line warrior, line visit, and line legend, depending on which of the update they are done. Like for line legend, the user must have done 50th update in order for to receive it. We also decided to have our app limited to locations. We decided to limit our users to Ohio users, and specifically because we wanted to target businesses around Ohio State Columbus campus. And so if you were to make a deal and if it does go through, we were able to serve actual deals to users initially and to improve our brand image. Thank you.
Although most of our survey participants never heard about a similar app like ours, we do face competition from 3 major companies: Yelp, OpenTable, and Google. While all of these apps may offer you a decent time estimate, they are not always well suited to the busy student or worker who looks for a quick bite. Yelp, for example, does not use crowdsourced data, which many times results in an estimate that is way off from the actual waiting time. Google uses geofencing to track user locations to see how much time the user spends in the restaurant location, which may actually count for the time that the user spends eating at the restaurant instead of actually waiting for their food. Lastly, OpenTable will only provide estimates for table reservations and is not well targeted to people who want to wait in line for their food. Unlike all of these apps, our platform will use crowdsourced data, which will count only for the time people spend in line to get their food, and not for the time they spend in restaurants. And although we try to differentiate ourselves from as much as possible from these 3 competitors, we did find several good ideas from each of them that we believe our app and users can benefit from. OpenTable, for example, has a rewards program for their customers, which incentivizes their users to use their reservation app, and in turn, their users get rewarded. With our app, we implemented a similar reward system that will reward our users based on the amount of time that they update our app with new data. With Yelp, users can see a real-time estimate for restaurant wait time. Our app will implement the same idea, but will focus on being much more accurate, since we have realized how much people in a hurry value their time. And like Google, we want our app to be accessible at any place, anytime. And for Waze, our app will be centered on crowdsourced data, which in turn will be able to direct users to restaurants with low waiting times.
Our business model is very simple and do follow similar trends to our competitors that were discussed previously. We will have multiple revenue streams. The first one will come from a one-time fee that will be paid by the restaurants to put the restaurants on the app. We will charge this one-time fee because being on the app, businesses are getting indirect traffic and indirectly advertising that their line is low or that now is the perfect time to come. This one-time fee will be $10. The second revenue stream will come from a monthly subscription service paid for by the restaurants that will allow the restaurants to see the data from their lines. Using the data collected from the people that update the app, we will be able to sell this data back to the restaurants so they can effectively manage their line to allow for more efficiency. Overall, Inline is an app that will allow people to save time in line at their favorite fast food and fast casual locations. There are 3 things in life that are certain: death, taxes, and lines. And our company wants to eliminate the stress from that third point. Thank you.
All right. Good presentation. Are there any questions from the people in the audience? Please do write them in the chat if you have any questions. I don't see one right now, so I'll go ahead and ask mine. What sort of profits or revenue do you expect to make from this app? I know it's a hard question because it's not really anything like you out there, so it's hard to predict what you can gross. But what do you think is the potential of this?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And I think you kind of talked about a little bit there that, like, obviously, we have no scope of potential numbers, or I mean, we have a scope of potential numbers, which we'll go over, but we have no scope of what the whole market size is. So kind of give you like a rundown on what we believe the first year looks like, is we really want to start out growing at Ohio State. Obviously, I'm not saying we're the predecessor, or we're like the next Facebook starting out in universities. We just believe that Ohio State has a great audience size, 60,000 students, as well as a lot of nearby restaurants. There's about 40 to 50 restaurants just near campus. And so if we take, the $50 a month that we charge per location and times that by 50 restaurants, that's a total of about what's that number? That's about like $30,000 plus the initial fee and advertising. We believe that we can do anywhere between 35,000 and 40,000 in revenue within the first year. And so obviously, the first year will be slow. We really want to have our whole beta testing done in Central Ohio. But then from there, we want to really grow from Ohio State to all of Ohio and then nationwide. So we really do feel that that Ohio will be the start of where inline goes, and then we'll grow nationwide. So we feel that obviously a $35,000, $40,000 number is not at all where we want to be. But we think for the start, that's a very reasonable number for what we believe we can do in revenue.
Thank you. We do have a question. Can you repeat again what was the third revenue stream? Was it the restaurant sign up, then data charges monthly?
Yes. So the first one obviously is the fee sign up for us to put the locations on, which will be about $5. And then the second one, which Neil, I see your question that you're talking about. The second one is we're talking about selling the data back to the restaurants and kind of giving them a plan on how to effectively navigate their lines so they're more efficient. And then the third monthly charge is obviously what we're going to do is we're going to sell advertisements and promotions. So what we'll do is obviously each location will have their own pin on the map. And once a user clicks on the pin, the restaurants will have the choice to include a little like of a badge location or badge icon that shows an advertisement. So like, they can either say like, oh, we're running a deal, or hey, we got a new product coming out. So that's like an advertisement. But a promotion would be like you would open the app right away and a huge pop-up would come on your screen saying, oh, try Wendy's new breakfast sandwich. And obviously, we'll charge more for those bigger promotions as that's showing up on everybody's phone. Whereas, the advertisements, which are within the which are within the pins, those will charge less for, because it would take more for a user to see that and would probably get less views.
Thank you for that answer. Are there any more questions in the chat? Now, we have another question. Do users get anything when they get a certain badge as part of the reward system?
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. Thank you for that question. There is no like monetary value with the badges that comes along with it. We did kind of experiment with that, and in doing some research, we believe that that kind of was not the best motivation. And honestly, statistically, if you charge or if you reward people with more money, they're less likely to do more work. So we felt that badges were the way to go. And kind of what that is that's kind of the whole gamification system. That's the whole gamification model, and there are a lot of apps out there that follows that path. One that we kind of talked about in the presentation is Waze. And for those of you who don't know what Waze is, it's an app which again, is similar like inline, but for traffic. So it'll let you know the most effective routes to take when getting to a destination. It'll let you know, if there's anyone stopped on the side of the road, anything that might happen. And Waze uses a great gamification model. And honestly, some of those badges were actually modeled after their badges that they have. And they've actually found that they've gotten some great user update, some great crowdsourced information through those badges. And they have not, spent a single cent on, giving people monetary value for those badges. So to answer your question, there is nothing past the badges that they get. But maybe on further down the road, we'll offer even more badges or a different type of gamification system.
And then there's another comment here for future advice is um, in your presentation, they would like to hear more on revenue and how they might scale. So in your presentation, just showing the numbers of what you told me at the 35,000 at Ohio State, and then how you expect to exponentially increase when you move to from local to state to nationwide.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's good advice to just give people a visual and to get,
Okay.
as this person even said, excited about what's possible. And also another suggestion was to have the sign up revenue fee renew after each year, sort of like a subscription. And it seems like more and more businesses are moving towards a subscription model to keep a steady flow of revenue. And those were the two advices that were given in the chat.
Perfect. Do you want me to respond to that, or?
If you would like to respond to it, you may.
Yeah, no, so absolutely. Yeah. So again, I think that obviously I think it is definitely important for the investor to see, where we want to grow and scale. And so I know in our presentation we didn't talk about that as much, but I did talk about it a bit earlier in terms of, we'll grow from Ohio State to Ohio, then nationwide. And then going back to what Blaze you just talked about in terms of, the initial fee to be on the app, I think that, obviously we'll have a subscription service that $50 a month to charge. And I think we could also do the same thing for that. That's a monthly charge, but then for the one time fee, we could do that yearly. And I think what also is important and can kind of lead to this exponential growth in revenue is that with more users becomes we're able to charge more for our services as well as charge more for ads. And so that's kind of what I talked about again and stress the importance of marketing, because the more amount of people we have in the app, not only is the data going to be more accurate, which is again the most important part because that's our true product. But we're also allowed to go to big businesses like McDonald's and say, hey, last year we had 50,000 users on the app, but now we have 500 users on our app. Now, obviously, we wouldn't charge 10 times as much. We could be like, hey, this validates our idea even more. We're going to charge 50%, 20% more than what we charged you last year. But you're still getting that awesome return on value, the return on your investment. So I do think that there is definitely a whole lot of room for growth. I think that'll definitely take time because because we're just so user oriented.
Good response. Are there any more questions in the chat before we move on to our last presentation? I'll wait here probably 10 to 15 seconds or so. All right. Looking as there's not. Inline team, thank you very much for your presentation. Let's continue on to the next one.
Hello, welcome everybody. This is Alpha Stack. Our goal is to enhance your product's technology. So the problem basically is that many entrepreneurs and businesses do not know what technologies are best for their product. And number two, the internet is cluttered with irrelevant tech information. You go to these blogs, you go to these articles, and you want to build a product. And I've personally dealt with this problem where I would go to a blog, I try to figure out what technology I should be using, whether it's Java, whether it's Python, whether it's Webflow or WordPress. And I'd always be so confused on what set of technologies would be perfect for my product. Oftentimes I would just think, why can't I have a direct answer? Why couldn't I just tell some program what my product is? And it would just spit out a tech stack straight for me. And what a tech stack essentially is simply just a set of technologies in order to build your product. So one of the other problems that was very noticeable is that the cost of poor software quality in 2018 was approximately $2.8 trillion. In 2020, due to COVID-19, we can only imagine that number has gone up. The solution. We want to provide optimized AI-generated no-code and code technology solutions. What I mean by that is when you put in your product into our form, what will happen is that it will ask you a series of questions in order to get a better idea of who you are, what you're good at, and what your team is good at. And not only that, we can take into account what your product is, the industry it's used in, and tech stacks related to that industry. What we can do then is we can provide a set of technologies that would be beneficial for you to use in order to build your product. So this is a basic introduction of what our product is. There, you go to our website, you fill out the form, and then you would be able to get a tech stack within 30 to 60 seconds, ideally. What you can see here is when we go press start your stack, it will actually take you to a form. You fill out that form and you get your tech stack. So our target market. Most of our target market is in non-technical people who prefer no-code technologies. Our first version of our product will be focused on no-code tools and optimizing tech stacks based on no-code tools. What we see now is technical people who prefer no-code and code-based tools, technical people who prefer code-based tools, and non-technical people who prefer code-based tools. We assume that likely non-technical people will not prefer code-based tools, as in they just don't have the technical experience, and that's where our problem statement lies. So we'd like to give you an example, 3 examples of our potential customers. Meet Zoe. She's Gen Z, she's a student entrepreneur. She doesn't know what technologies are best for her product. She is tech savvy and prefers no-code tools for ease of use. Now Blake, he's Gen X, he's a technical PM at a mid-sized business, but he needs a more custom feature set for their new product. And Jessica, she's also Gen X, she's a small business owner, and she needs advice on how to effectively build her technical infrastructure. And she has no coding experience. She is our prime example of a non-technical person who doesn't know what technology she needs, but she wants to easily be able to build it. Now the market size. Coming off the $2.8 trillion, our market size is very, very large in the total available market. In no short-term or long-term sense will we ever reach the $1.14 trillion mark, but that's what we could potentially provide in the long-term future. Now, what we potentially could service in a 5 to 10 year time spent is about $200 million. Now, I would like to get out of the way that this industry of tech stacks is a very, very new industry. Pretty much there are almost no direct competitors, but in terms of indirect competitors, we would say StackShare is our primary competitor. And as you can see in the bottom left corner, there's a logo for techstacks.io. The problem with techstacks.io is has a very inactive community, but it's been around for almost 5 years, which means it likely has very little chance of success. And it was a very forum-based community. StackShare goes to companies, thousands of different companies all over the world, asks for their tech stacks and posts it on their website for public knowledge. What AlphaStack wants to do is take it a step further and be able to automate that process of, instead of providing you tech stacks that already exist, we could provide you new tech stacks that don't exist, but are also optimized for your product. So our revenue streams. Our first revenue stream is the tech stacks that we provide you. Whether that's no code tech stacks, those are code-based tech stacks, it's a marketing tech stack, DevOps tech stack, etc. We can basically, that's one of our revenue streams, is being able to provide you those tech stacks. Our second revenue stream is for products or businesses that already have built out code bases. What you can do is for more personalized tech stack analysis and maintenance, you can link your code base via GitHub or any other repository and be able to effectively manage, maintain, and analyze your tech stack. And then number three, of course, is ad revenue from the data that we collect from what your product is, what company you're trying to build, and what tech stack we provide you overall. Of course, all of that data will be privatized and anonymized in order to value user privacy. So the business model is very simple in 2 tiers. Tier 1 is providing a less optimized AI generated tech stack for free. And that will pretty much be, we try to provide you 2 to 3 different options for tech stacks. The first option will be the tier 2 option, which will be the most optimized tech stack, which will be provided after payment, and then the less optimized one, which will be provided to you for free. The cost structure and key resources, we predict that most of our costs will go into servers for the AI, the website, and the hosting, as well as labor capital, collecting the data, and building out our own technology stack. Our key channels, we want to provide education through social media. There's a very large amount of people through social media. Social media is very easy to access those people. We can use platforms such as LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Websites, we want to build out a website in order for users to visit and be able to use our product, which will be our primary channel of distribution. And number 3, when we want to connect with industry leaders and influencers in order to just get the word out there and be able to show the reputableness of our product. Our future roadmap is within a 2-year time span. We want to perform market research. We want to do a non-AI test. Once we get that information, we want to build out our AI tech stack generator, test it, and be able to launch it. And that launch is presumed to occur around Q1 of 2023. Thank you. You can contact us at alphastackteam@gmail.com, and then you can also contact us via the website, and be sure to visit the website, fill out the survey so we can get a little bit more customer validation on how we can move forward with the idea. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Are there any questions in the chat for this group? Well, there seems to not be a question in the chat thus far. Oh, there's one here. How do you make tech stacks for different needs?
Yeah, so basically we can create, or we can get a data set of companies that exist in a variety of different industries. Those industries can expand from um, tens of different industries to hundreds of different industries. There's a lot of really cool products starting to be built out in the world.
I cannot
And
hear Avi.
hello? Can you hear me?
Can other people hear him?
Hello, can you hear me?
Avi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry. I'm not sure. Okay, so it looks like the chat was able to hear you. I guess it was just a technical problem on my end.
Okay.
But
Yeah, so I'll just leave off from where I was talking. There's a lot of different products, a couple industries, all the way to hundreds of different industries who are trying to create really cool products, and a lot of different software products for that matter. Um, in order to go off that question of how do you provide for different needs, there's this massive database of companies that are trying to build that are trying to build effective tech stacks for their products, and we have that information of those companies are public information. So what we can essentially do is we can categorize those different companies in terms of what they're trying to build, in what industry they're trying to build it, and how they're trying to build it, and we can basically take that information, um, compare your idea to all of those different industries and those different products, and be able to effectively provide for your specific needs. Of course, we wouldn't be able to provide exact answers. We'd have to create some kind of prediction analysis model in order to kind of predict what how similar is your idea to different ideas that already exist. Um, and based on that kind of statistical analysis, how can we provide you the most optimized tech stack that we believe, based on what already exists out in the world?
thank you. And we have another question here that asks, are there any successful companies today that use your approach to generate single payments for answers to individual companies? And also, thoughts on the right price to charge for answer to individual question?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I haven't actually done the specific research in order to figure out whether their companies are providing for those kind of single payment for answers. So that would definitely be something good to look into. I would say, in terms of thoughts on the price, um, we're thinking about something fairly affordable. If we're looking at the potential of the amount of people and companies that could potentially use AlphaStack in order to um, maintain their tech stack over time, um, try to modify their tech stack in some way, or maybe add some kind of technology in order to cater towards a very specific feature set. Um, we could potentially lower the price for the value, say for example, um, for the potential value of reducing your long-term costs. We believe something around that price would of course change based on the size of the company, but uh, if we were to look at a static fee, I was thinking something around $9.99, something affordable like that. Um, but as I said, the cost for a customer could change based on what they're providing to us. For example, the code bases and all of that stuff. Um, but yeah, if you're just coming for a one-time thing, you're a normal consumer, say a college student who wants to uh, make a project.
X amount of questions.
One of the ideas that we had for scaling this model up beyond just providing you a tech stack is we want to be that central authority for tech stacks and maintaining your tech stacks. So not only can you pay for getting a tech stack or um, and looking at it from a one-time payment from that perspective, we also want to take into account that technology changes over time, and this change happens relatively quickly. I've talked to a couple of people. They said technology can rapidly change 2 times per year, and we'd have to look into it 2 times per year. If it changes that rapidly, um, we need to provide some system where you can get a lot of value out of us, and you wouldn't need to modify your technology stack as frequently or overhaul too massively. So one of the things we looked at for a subscription model is how can we provide you some kind of analytics platform, some kind of profiling platform where we can constantly maintain your technology stack and any software that you use for your company over the long term. Um, and basically being able to provide some kind of passive monitoring system where we're able to monitor the state of technology at the current moment and the state of your tech stack in comparison with uh, industry technology, and be able to figure out whether or not we need to look into modifying it or if we need to look into doing something else. And we could potentially charge a subscription model for that kind of product.
Thank you for that answer. All right, any more questions in the chat? I'll wait 10, 15 seconds. Well, there seems to not be any more questions in the chat. But there is a comment here from our audience members, and he says, I like this because it feels like you are squarely addressing a pain point that is both significant and widely shared. I think that is very true. And your business and your idea holds a lot of promise with how rapidly people are becoming interested in entrepreneurship and also how rapidly technology is shifting.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you, Alpha Stack. Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Of course, thank you.
Okay, let's continue on to the finale. Thank you, everyone who came here tonight to witness the hard work of our members for the 2021 spring semester. I know this was a long presentation, but thank you for sticking with us and watching till the end. We greatly appreciate it. I think your participation was much appreciated by our members to for them to feel how a pitch may go and to learn from it. And also, it was a bit of entertainment on my part to hear and to listen to other ideas. And I hope you took something out of it and I hope the members took something out of it also. Thank you again, and I hope to see you at the next demo night. And everyone, good night.